The first Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing was a really solid budget title. In fact, until Reaper of Souls arrived, it's been my go-to action RPG since its release last year. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing II is a direct continuation of where the first game left off, and, judging from the closed beta build I tried, the game really drops you in it from the start. It opens with the titular Van Helsing and his ghost friend Katarina defending an industrial sector of Borgovia from waves of crazed robots. General Harker, an associate of the first game's big bad Professor Fulmigati, is laying siege to the city, and presumably will be taking over the role of the main antagonist in this sequel. Loading up Van Helsing II, I was offered the chance to import my character from the first game. Considering the story is a direct sequel, it's nice that Neocore Games have given players a chance to continue the story with a character they've invested 20 plus hours into. Rather than carry over my old Helsing, I decided to create a new vampire hunter. I went with an arcane mechanic, an interesting class that's able to summon mechanical beasties to aid him in battle. He was available to play in the first game, but only through the purchase of a DLC pack, so it was my first time trying him out. As well as having the assistance of automated turrets and other mechanical pets, the arcane mechanic can also make use of a highly powerful flamethrower to dispatch of enemies. This comes in handy when pitted against the swarms of robot soldiers that were thrown at me, although constant movement was required in order to avoid being surrounded. Battling huge flocks of enemies was one of my favourite aspects of the first Van Helsing game, and it looks like Neocore won't be doing away with it in the sequel. More than any action RPG I've played, Van Helsing is fantastic at filling the screen with monsters, placing an emphasis on clever positioning and crowd control. It also has the benefit of being insanely satisfying when a well-placed grenade sends 50 limbs flying in a bloody explosion. Another fun aspect of the first game was the ability to set up an automated defence around your secret lair. This is being pushed even further in the sequel, with players able to defend their main lair and other key locations with upgradable traps and other functions. I didn't get a chance to try out this feature in the build I was given, but I'm happy to hear that it's making a return. While most of the features touted by Van Helsing II seem to be refinements of those existing in the first game, there are some new elements worth noting. For example, players are able to micromanage the Resistance fighters, giving them the tools needed to defend Borgovia from the new threat, and shaping the fate of the city. Things like the troop management and more in-depth tower defense stuff are all nice additions, but Van Helsing II appears to be a fairly straightforward sequel, an extension of the campaign, offered in the first game. Unfortunately, this also means that the visuals haven't progressed much. While many of the monster designs looked great in their weird creativity, Van Helsing 1's graphics were dated, and the world was fairly drab and samey. From what I played of this early build of Van Helsing 2, Borgovia hasn't improved with age, and its troubled streets feel dull and uninspired. Of course, this is far from a consumer-ready release, and I haven't seen what the rest of Van Helsing 2's world has to offer. I'm not sure whether to be happy or sad that the laughably bad dialogue from the first game has returned, as that was part of what gave it its B-movie charm. That said, it's even worse this time, and I physically cringed at certain parts. Developers take note. References to that Skyrim meme just aren't okay in 2014.
Sir, I think I took an arrow to the knee.
Regardless of my worries about the visuals and poor writing, the gameplay that made the first Van Helsing so fun is clearly intact. I'm incredibly happy that this humble franchise has been granted a second entry, and I can't wait to dive into yet another cheesy, action-filled romp around the twisted kingdom of Borgovia.